Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So last time we played Pinbot and frankly I had a hard time pulling myself away from Pinbot. Today we're playing F14 Special? No, F14 Tomcat. This is a 1987 game, so we once again are really getting only one game per year, where I feel like more often than average you should be seeing at least 2 or 3 games coming out each year. It kind of almost implies that Stern, Williams, Bailey, Gottlieb all got together and just decided, well, we're not going to compete with each other and we're only going to release one historically relevant or one good pinball table each year, which that doesn't make a lot of sense because even the small-time Jersey Jack pinball company that still exists in 2021 releases a table every year. And they're mostly just selling to collectors more than arcades. F14 Tomcat is another fantastic design from Steve Ritchie and was a top-selling pinball game of '87, featuring a fighter jet theme. Players take on the role of a top ace engaged in aerial combat with the ultimate goal of being to take down their electronic adversary, General Yagov. The table featured high-speed gameplay highlighted by the fastest shot in pinball, the Yagov kicker. This device fires the ball back at the flippers and was the first of its kind. This table also was the first to have a ball save feature, which finally took till 1987 before they introduced the ball save, which gives the ball back to the player after a premature drain. Approximately 14,502 units of this table were produced. Now I have to put in a flag there and point this out. You cannot, in the English language, say approximately 14,502 units were produced. That is incredibly, incredibly specific. If you're going to say approximately, it's say approximately 14,500 units were made, or say exactly 14,502 were made, whichever you know to be the more true. Let's look at the table. So once again, this is another instance where you can basically see through the bottom part of the metal cover. It seems like that happens more often than it should, and I don't know if that has to do with Pinball Arcade as much as maybe that just really did happen in pinball tables. I also looked up how much it costs just to buy the legs of a cabinet. Fairly expensive. Even components of pinball cabinets are fairly expensive, so it's no surprise that you end up spending a couple thousand or more for a pinball table. You really need to be able to get that money back somehow or be so rich you don't care. So this is the first table we've seen where there's basically a line pointing you towards your shot. So you just, if you can keep it in between the two orange lines, you will go up that top lane, which I don't know if that cycles all the way back, but it looks like it does. So yeah, this looks like a roundabout, but maybe it isn't, because, well, no, the blue lane goes up this right ramp and down here to a sinker target that pops it back up and then shoots it this way, which can then randomly release it in several different places, I think, for the use of a multi-ball. And then this secondary lane where this flipper is goes around here, so this must go down here and just lock the ball or have a standing target. I wish I could tilt the camera because I see something, but I can't tell for certain where that goes. You have standing targets that spell Tomcat, and then you just have a slingshot directly in the middle there, and one bumper, upper field left and right flipper that are at kind of interesting angles. Tom is spelled backwards on this standing targets, T-O-M, and yet cat is spelled correctly on this side. In-lane, out-lane specials. Where is this General Yagov kicker? That's the one I'm interested in. Like, is it that? If they put enough power behind a kicker and it goes into one of these metal ramps, that it will rattle the ramps quite a bit. Notice that this whole section doesn't have a top section, but right there would be kind of a great point for the ball to get stuck if it lost momentum, although it's unlikely that it ever would do that. Same as in this case, there'd just always be so much momentum towards that, but that they've intentionally cut out this middle part so that A, the ball does not get stuck if it was shot up and wedged between the top of a tube and the back glass, or B, in case it loses momentum, it will potentially just fall downward. That's probably not necessary, but it does clean up the visuals. And then you launch immediately into this ramp. So we're going to be doing this gimmick quite a bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't see this kickback though. And I don't think it's these standing targets. It kind of feels like these two standing targets in the middle might move, but I don't think they do. Where is this kickback? There's a... Oh, here it is. It must be this. So there is a kickback, and it goes all the way here, and basically all the way to that, I bet. Now, in all fairness, I will mention that I'm probably not super interested in a game around the theme of aerial fighting. And you can hold flipper buttons for status reports, I guess, when you're still launching, which means this is probably going to be a more complicated table. But I see a lot of potential here. I've yet to really run into enough tables too where I could say I just like absolutely love Williams or kind of don't like most Stern tables. I think each of the companies that are worth mention have at least enough relevant and good tables to have me feel nostalgic about them all. So I wouldn't particularly off the top of my head be able to say if I could eliminate one of the companies from the history of pinball, which one would I have to pick in a monkey's paw type choice like that. I wouldn't know. I'd probably pick Gottlieb, but I could be totally wrong about that. Here you have what looks like almost computer generated image animation on the front, and then the back has a couple paragraphs of animation, and they're just showing the top half of a real world photo. We can also see on the backboard of this table there's a red, white, and blue strobe, which we're starting to see more of that happen too, where there's just more and more flashing lights. So our standard goals are to relight the rescue kickback, light the spinner, activate multi-ball, score a Charlie kill, and earn an extra ball, of which a lot of those things I don't know how to actually pull off. This is one of those where you might as well just launch as powerful as possible, because I don't think there's any actual skill shot there. related to the force of your plunger. Which, if you were going to do that, then you might as well introduce an auto launcher. So without even trying, I've just lit the spinner. Like half height. Doesn't seem to do anything different. This might be a table. Yeah, that kickback wasn't particularly any faster than the like really wasn't particularly faster than any other kickback. I was half expecting it to to shoot back at twice the speed. Alright, that's ball 2. So unless I'm supposed to... That's ball 3. Since I don't know what starts the multi-ball, it could be anything. So I might as well just play. And I assume Yugov is supposed to be a Russian, which that would totally make sense. We got a free play credit because we matched. That's interesting that that sent me somewhere different. There probably is a way that you could get the ball to sink into those sinkholes behind the bumper. This is a table that really wants you to hit the loop-to-loop there and then make use of these top flippers a lot more, which pretty much locks you into a top focused camera angle. Like several of these other camera angles just won't work for you. There's a lot of central lane shots here where the ball can easily bounce. I'm not sure if the upper lane spelling of Tomcat is different than the under lane, the lower playfield spelling of Tomcat. I kind of feel like it wouldn't be. There must be a gate behind those sinkholes, because otherwise that ball should have locked. Still not really sure what is it that starts a multi-ball. Which we should go investigate that, because if we played 2 games and we can't figure out how to start the multi-ball, then we'll probably play some more. Alright. Multi-ball is the key to getting a high score. To activate lock, first lock 3 balls in the upper kicker. To light, lock on, complete Tomcat. There are 2 sets of Tomcats located here. and here, and 2 sets of cats here and there. Hitting the flashing target scores 1,000 points and lights the target in both banks. A flashing target is spotted each time the ball is shot to the upper kicker. Wonder what they mean by spotted. It just turns it. Hitting an already lit tom or cat scores 100 points. Completing cat or tom scores 5,000 points. Completing tom, cat scores 30,000 points. And lights lock on at the upper kicker. Once this is lit, shoot the upper kicker to lock a ball. This is a great example of why it shouldn't be in attract mode while you're getting instruction here. Each lock ball scores 25,000 points. Lit locks can be stacked by completing Tomcat more than once before locking a ball. If lock on remains lit after locking a ball, it will automatically lock the next ball once it's launched. The first time Tomcat is completed, it stacks the lock on for the first 2 balls. Once 3 balls are locked, release lights at the upper kicker. Once this is lit, shoot the upper kicker to activate multi-ball. Completing tom and cat. After release is lit, lights rip off and uke off kicker, which maybe I haven't actually activated that. Shooting uke off kicker activates multi-ball. Multi-ball is a 4-ball multi-ball mode. Wow, my stomach is growling like crazy. While it's active, the primary goal is to complete landings and then score the fighter jackpot. Each shot in the upper kicker completes the landing. First landing scores 150,000, second 250,000, third scores the fighter jackpot. The fighter jackpot starts at 703,850 points. That's an odd number. Each time the game ends without scoring a jackpot, the value is increased by 77,930 points. That's an odd number too. Up to a maximum of 1,015,570 on the 5th game. Jackpot resets to 7,005 once it's scored, or 6th game is started without scoring it. Once the jackpot is scored, the value of the landings resets. While multi-ball is active, hitting the tom in both banks or hitting all the cat targets in both banks lights a special in the out lanes. This is a complicated multi-ball. Drain down there is to collect 100,000. Only 1 special per game can be collected. Multi-ball ends once 3 of the 4 balls drain. After the first multi-ball, release has to be lit on the upper kicker once 3 balls are locked to complete Tomcat. So, that's quite a lot. Quite a lot. But what it mostly boils down to is you've got to get really good at shooting up that blue lane. Like every shot from the left side practically should be shooting the blue lane and doing that. And if you're not doing that, then spell Tomcat. You may notice that pretty much at no table has there ever been a major focus on actually hitting pop-up bumpers. They're a nice feature and they've been basically around since day 1 in pinball, but they've never really been expanded too much. Like some tables will have the bumpers light up and increase their score, but no table really wants you to aim for the bumpers. Enemy 3 locked. which means we are good. Release is lit. So the pressure is on. Don't lose the ball and get a blue shot. Maybe I could have gone up the left side on the red lane too. Interesting, the game kind of glitched there and it activated it said I activated a multi-ball when I hadn't. Because there were 3 balls on the table, even though there were 3 balls on the table because of the game being over. That really highlights how these standard goals are probably very not connected to the internal programming and internal logic of the pinball tables. This is definitely a table that would benefit from a central peg. I don't feel like the ramp at the top feeds perfectly into a shot at the bottom. I could see a scenario where the ramp lanes here would lead directly towards the in lanes. And that way you'd have a nice linear shot that would go from the right lower flipper up and around to the left lower flipper. You can also see how even with the ball saver feature there's still a level of easy ways to lose a ball. That technology was not immediately perfect. And arguably there's, even in modern tables, there's often great ways in which you can just keep a ball alive for 30 seconds or so and then have a drain on some BS reason. Shooting a ball way to the top and then having a ball saver is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, it seems like maybe you've got about 30 seconds by the time the ball gets down to the lower play field, in which the ball saver will help you. And these are tight out lanes. One of the things that causes tight out lanes is the very top of the divider between the in lane and out lane can be either a really thick peg or just a non-existent peg or a really thin peg. And if it's a really thin peg, that probably increases the odds of it ending up on the out lane, which is further away. But a lot of that is just straight up the angles too. If I could get the balls locked, I think I've spelled Tomcat enough. And this is crazy how much the plunger just does not have the power. And in real pinball, you can actually often just slap the front of a plunger forward instead of pulling it back and launch it that way. But that's not even an option in the virtualization. This is definitely a table that feels a little boring because it's just a little difficult to actually pull things off. So, because I know there's stuff to do here, but because I can't do it, it runs into a frustrating scenario where, as flashy as it is, as cool as the music sounds, it's inaccessible. And I imagine for little kids that's probably true with a lot of pinball tables. But yeah, it's just a little too much requirements and a little too much focus on one very tight shot. I guess that might be the Yukov kickback, is the red lane. Which he does definitely kick the ball just directly towards the center drain. This is a table that really needs something that would slow things down, and instead it's trying to speed things up constantly. And that's not a shot I could make with the right flipper. It's just too far. We might be seeing an example of tables also really fetishizing the entire table length shots. The long shots that are definitely harder to pull off. Come on. So yeah, really this is a table where you would want to trap the ball as many times as possible to get that shot to lock. Once you've locked, if you've lit Tomcat a bunch of times, you might be able to lock the other 3 balls, which if I can get the shot, I think I have release lit. There we go. So now we have like a proper multi-ball, which at this point, just keeping the balls in play is your best bet. You're gonna have balls hitting each other, and that's fine. Now we're down to 2 or 3 extra balls. I think we're down to 2 now. And that was the end of the multi-ball. I got me a shoot again. So pretty big score there, but I don't think I got the special. Seems like I might have another shoot again. Interesting. But I guess the question is, how many things carry over and hold over? And what was the thing I needed to do to get the special? So I've legitimately gotten a multi-ball, which I appreciate, actually legitimately earning that, even though the game already rewarded me for that. Although again, these goals tied to achievements don't really make any relevant motivation for Steam in particular. The setup for multi-ball is just too much on this table. It needs a quick 2-ball multi-ball option too. Something that we could something that could speed up the chances of a multi-ball. And if you're not working for multi-ball, then you're pretty much just looking for score. It's too late on that. And the ball saver feature, once again, not really working. Initials entered, and I got a credit, and I can potentially get another credit. You get an achievement for getting on the high score too. So what did you have to do to get the extra ball? 3 ways to earn an extra ball on this table. Achieve it automatically if you're awarded when you reach a replay score of 1,000,000. I guess I didn't do that. Extra ball lights at the golf kicker until it's collected. The first time the golf kill is scored. Extra ball can be relit again by scoring kills, but to relight it after the first extra ball has been collected, you must score an additional kill. After scoring the kill, after the golf score, extra ball also lights the golf kicker until it's collected. Each time the end of the ball bonus multipliers advance by 8. So that left side is the multiplier. Interesting. So you would want to get fairly good at hitting that kicker, but then you increase your chances of losing each time too. That's really a terrible feature, to slingshot the ball back downward. And they're selling it like a sales piece, but really that's just awful. And yeah, let's see. Let's turn on ball control and look at operator mode and see what options we have. Display test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and once again, I have been completely incapable of figuring out how that whole pro menu coin, how all the programming works in operator mode. Seriously. This might be the first table that has also the oh man, I'm trying to use the ball control and the ball literally doesn't want to go up even there. It's seriously is angled so poorly. So you might as well not have ball control at all on this feature, because that totally is impossible to use. Let's play one more game and then I'm gonna give up on this table. It's flashy, and at a certain level, by 87, that's pretty much expected. Arguably, you could definitely say it's too visually busy and just kind of distracting, particularly when you compare it to like a 1960s table. But it's not particularly as well thought out as I would like it to be. There's a lot of stuff happening in the mid-center of the table that bounces the ball back. There's the Yakov kicker that bounces the ball back. There's an upper play field that feels disconnected and hard to reach. If there was just a ramp where those standing targets in the mid-center of the table were, and then that launched you into the upper play field, that would be fine. There's basically 2 shots you want to make on this table, and both shots are incredibly difficult and incredibly dangerous. Trying to hit that Yakov kicker shot, but I'm failing miserably at it. Or I can try and shoot up and start the multi-ball, and I'm failing miserably at that. I think at some point near the end of this series, we'll probably end up doing the challenges that are around specific Williams, Stern, Bailey tables, like here. So I think at that point, I probably will be able to tell from that selection of challenges which of the companies I would like the most. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is Stern that's the least well liked. Of course, it might also just be a selection of seasons too, because the season 2 Williams might be way better than a season 1 Williams. And the seasons being mentioned here kind of highlights how many seasons they've had, which season 6, I guess, is what they technically are in at the moment. You can also kind of see how some of these games are labeled with trademarks. A lot of them are. That is not what I meant to do. But yeah. Still at this moment, I would have a hard time telling you which tables which company I dislike the most. Or like the most. Yep. Well, we've got, if we're at 87, then that tells me probably these next 4 are 88, and then the next 4 are next 4 to 6 are 89, or the next 5 are 88, and the next 5 are 89, which is kind of crazy because there's like only one table for 87, and basically another, I think maybe that was 87 too, and then this was 86, and this was 85, and then all the rest of these are between 81 and 84, and that probably highlights that there was a slowdown in pinball at that point. 83 in particular would have been when the NES came out, so people thinking, well, maybe pinball is on its way out, or arcades are on their way out because home consoles are the next big thing. Maybe it has more to do with what happened 4 years previous to 84 in the 80s with the collapse of the first generation of game consoles, or just maybe other reasons that might have caused conflict or slow production of new tables in pinball. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.